Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are back in Honkai Star Rail and we're going to be ranking every enemy on a tier list based on how difficult they are to defeat, F tier being the easiest to defeat and S tier being the hardest to defeat in the entire game. Now we're going to be ranking all the enemies of the anti-meta regions, especially the ones from Herta's space station. Now let's get started. Now the two orb enemies you see on the screen right now is Bar Yon and Anti-Bar Yon from left to right. Now, Baryon is weak to ice and wind and deals minor quantum damage. Minor, the game defines as 250% to a single target. This is as easy as the enemies will get. The only difference between Baryon and anti-Baryon is one is weak to ice and wind, one is weak to physical and quantum respectively. Now, um, there is a total of 24 ice and wind characters in the game, and a total of 29 physical and quantum characters in the game. Therefore, technically, anti-Baryon is easier to defeat than Baryon, since more typings are their weakness. However, you are given March 7th, Dongheng, and Trailblazer right off the bat. Ice, wind, physical, right? Ice, wind, already targets Baryon, you're not given a quantum unit right off the start. So you will have a bit more issue with anti-Baryon than Baryon in the early game, but overall you shouldn't have that much trouble with this enemy in the first place. F tier, F tier. Next one is the Void Ranger Reaver. He uses the Hunting Blade to do 250% damage to one ally or 150% damage up to 3 allies, which means the main target and the 2 adjacent targets. Now, this is again as elementary as the enemy designs can get. He does damage and he does Y damage. F tier. Distorted. This one marks an enemy, giving them a 10% vulnerability debuff and taunting that ally. Therefore, all enemies will be targeting that specific ally and can do 500% damage with single ally. That's pretty nice. I feel like this enemy could prove to be some issue because what if your squishy unit on the team just gets targeted down, right? Imagine you have Ting Yun on your team, and now the enemies have much more of a reason to be targeting your Ting Yun, right? That would be pretty bad, right? And he does a lot of damage too. So I feel like this is the first enemy that gives a debuff and is worth being respected, but it is still a really easy enemy. F tier. Next one, Eliminator. Similar to Distorter, but marks an enemy with the effect called Detonated, which means they take 40% damage from any source 3 different times, and even deals 400% damage. However, this overloads himself. This overload effect, meaning he cannot take action. But when he does, he will dispel overloaded from himself. I mean, Eliminator being a 40% damage increase from any source is pretty nice. I feel like this is like better Distorter, I feel like, so D tier, but honestly, it's not that much better than Distorter, but it can definitely pack a lot more of a punch if like they're combined together, right? Kind of thing, which usually they would be. Next one's a Trampler, or the deer-looking one with the bow. Its normal attacks is either a area of effect attack or a single target attack, doing medium small damage, right? Nothing special there. Now, he has a charging up effect, which basically warns us that he will cast an ultimate next round. His ultimates will be a single target damage, dealing 600% damage to a single target, with a 100% base chance to inflict the effect called Entangled. Entangled is a 50% action delay and a 80% damage adds DOT per stack. Now, if you have no effect res, this will be a guaranteed apply, so that ally will be pretty damn cooked if he gets hit by the arrow. But just try to break Trampler before Bro can cast his ult, because he casts his ult pretty late into the fight. I'm pretty sure you can break him by then. If you cannot, he will be pretty devastating to whoever he targets down. But at least during his charging state, he will show which ally is targeting, so he will try to want to protect that ally as much as possible. Next one is a Doomsday Beast, the first boss in the entire game. It is split into three parts: the engine, right hand, and left hand. The engine buffs the hand, left and then right hand, whichever one goes first, giving them a toughness restoration and a 60% damage buff for 2 turns. In phase 2, he says screws that and buffs both hands at once. And he could even enter a charging state, giving a 40% damage boost to all enemies, and also acts like a warning before he casts his ultimate, doing 360% damage to all allies on the field. Next one is the right hand. The right hand deals damage, and his other ability is a 20% base chance to inflict imprisoned. Imprisoned is a effect that does a 30% action delay and a 20% speed down for 1 turn. In phase 2, the hand does more damage and has a slightly higher chance at 25% base chance to inflict imprisonment. Next one is the left hand, dealing damage and a 30% base chance to inflict entangled, which is again a 30% action delay, 50% attack delay damage per stack for 1 turn. Maximum is 5 stacks. In phase 2, it is a 160% times 2 damage with a 50% base chance to inflict entangled, while it has the previous ability as well in phase 2. This boss also has a special effect where the main target, which being the boss behind the engine right and left hand, cannot be targeted by any allies or anything before the engine right and left hand was destroyed. So you have to destroy those three first in order to actually reach the target. The boss has 0 toughness and will instantly break after you defeat engine right and left hand. And with that, I would like to end off today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.